Hello and welcome to the Real Talk podcast with Kelly and Avery. We're your hosts, Kelly Berger and Avery Roberts. We are two rare ladies living with congenital muscular dystrophy, CMD.
The show where we amplify voices, break down barriers, and celebrate the power of disability identity. Whether you're living with a disability, supporting someone who is, or just here to learn, you're in the right place.
Where wit, wisdom, and reels are all part of the party. So sit down with us. We're tearing down stereotypes, one reel at a time.
It's a front row seat to bold conversations and the thriving disabled lifestyle, and we're ready to get gloriously uncomfortable.
Let's get loud, proud, and empowered. Real power, real stories. Have you ever been told you're too loud, too sensitive, too demanding, too visible, too honest, too disabled? Today we are talking about what that means and what if we're not too much? What if the world just hasn't made enough room?
Yeah, I think I feel like disabled people are trained to kind of shrink from a really young age, like be grateful, don't complain, don't ask for, too many accommodations, don't be an inconvenience for people. There's this like unspoken rule that if you're going to be disabled, at least be easy about it.
Right? Yeah, just fit in, just go with the rest of the kids. Don't be too much. Don't be, the one thing that sticks out or causes the whole class a disruption or whatever it may be. Yeah, it's a hard line.
Yeah. And it's like be inspirational, but don't be inconvenient. So what it's like that, that line, like you said. So exactly. And I feel like when you stop being convenient, when you start having boundaries, suddenly you're just a lot. And I think some of that pressure comes from the way society views and frames disability. And there's this whole kind of inspiration narrative, like we're here to make other people feel motivated. And people are inspired by us just from existing. Whereas we would rather have, people be inspired by us for our achievements and our accomplishments. And the activist Stella Young called it inspiration porn. That idea that disabled people exist to inspire non-disabled people just by living, like I said. And the second you're not, smiling and being agreeable, you're suddenly just really intense and a lot, and inconvenience.
Yeah, let's talk about what make room or move really means. I think people think that sounds a little harsh, a little hostile, but no, I think that we for far too long have always been pushed to the back, pushed to the side, or completely segregated from normal activities or normal classrooms, whatever that may be. And I think it's time that we are integrated into that to quote unquote normal, whatever that may be or look like. But no, I just think that there's boundaries and we're not bitter. It's more just as society not seeing us as different. We want to be there in the same space as everyone else. I think that we need to start refusing to push this side. I think that we need to come in full force with full power and be like, this is, I want to be with the rest of everyone else. I want to sit with my class. I want to sit at the front, not the back, not the side. I want to be in all the spaces just like everyone else because we have those rights too.
Yeah. And I think access isn't a favor. It's literally protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And we're not asking for, special treatment. We're asking for compliance, but also going beyond compliance. I think there's a difference between inclusion and belonging. And inclusion feels like we added a ramp that after you complained that there wasn't a ramp, and so I think belonging and inclusion done right is we thought about you and your needs and what you might need before you even got here. So I think it's culturally we're seeing a shift And so I think it's also just internalized ableism too. Like we sometimes do that to ourselves. Like how many times have you apologized for asking for something just so basic? You know, like I mean, I think about this a lot. I think I'm constantly saying like sorry, sorry. Like I hate, taking up space to begin with. I think I used to say like I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Is there any way we could maybe before asking for literal access and like why am I apologizing for, existing in a space, taking up space in society just like everybody else. It's like I have pretended that I wasn't, in pain. I said it's fine when it wasn't fine, so just so I wouldn't, seem so high maintenance. And that's internalized ableism. And it might, seem subtle, but it's real for sure.
Yeah, I think, yeah, just like you said, hitting it with the sorry. I catch myself doing that far too much. Then just trying to have that, yeah, it's really that mind shift of just expressing your needs. No, this doesn't work for me. This is what I need. Instead of, the whole dance around being kind and courteous. It's like, these are my everyday needs and I'm a human being. These are my rights. And that's what it should be. I know for me, whenever I attend somewhere new or a conference or a big room or a gathering of people, it's always like, okay, like I'm in a power chair. My chair makes noise. It clicks. Like
Sure
it's not
does.
subtle at all. If it's
No.
sometimes you can hear a pin drop and it's like, okay, just come rolling in. Like, again, there's obviously always chairs, right? Chairs everywhere. There's usually no spaces like for just a space for a wheelchair. So it's like, okay, it's a whole production of how do I move this chair? Somebody gonna move it for me. It's gonna be a whole thing. So do I just stay in the back? Do I just stay on the side? And I just feel like always those decisions are made for us. Like, we'll just put you wherever we can fit you in instead of having that same right to choose, just like everyone else. Like, whether you want the front, the back, the side, whatever it may be. So I know that's always something that I have always found, a little bit of, like I said earlier, like a dance of do I want to cause a disruption and a whole thing and be in the front? But it's like, you know what? Like I have that ability and want to do that too. So I know it's hard because I'm definitely a peace and balance. Like I see both sides of like, oh, I don't want to make a whole fuss. But then it's also like, you know what? Let's be disruptive. Let's make space and create our own spaces. I think that's really what it is. It's like, if there isn't space, be that space, create that space, speak up to be that space.
Yeah. I think also it's like finding the right balance between what, is affecting us because of our disability and because of us being wheelchair users and what is driving our decisions just because that's us. Like for ever since I was little, I've been the person who takes the seat at the table that can literally see everything. Like I need to see everything in front of me and I've no idea why. I've gotten better, but I'm still kind of like that. Even my family knows that like I need to be in a spot where I can literally see everything. I don't want people behind me. I want to see everything and everyone that's going on around me. And I don't know if it's like an experience I had or something. I don't think so, but that's just always been a habit of mine. And so I think that it's like finding the balance between what was driven by just society and like our disability, and then also what's driven by like habits like mine. Like it's finding that balance between like what we really want, what makes us the most comfortable, when it's possible. Sometimes it's legit just not possible there's no room for us,
Right. We
to,
just have to be
take up
stuck in
space.
wherever. Yeah, I get that. See, that's why it's like a balance being a toy line of understanding that. And to your point too, what you just mentioned, I think for me, wanting to be at a spot at the table, it's not so much so I can see everything. It's more so I'm not able to physically turn my head and turn my body. So like I need my viewpoint to be that for me. Like, I can't have my back turned because if someone able-bodied in a chair can literally just turn the whole shoulder or their whole body and see around. But I think for us, it's so much like our views are so limited
Right.
anyway, just because of our abilities, that it's really just a matter of, this is what my body allows. So I need to be here to be able to have this view 360 of whatever. And we
Right.
can't just like easily turn our chairs in a circle to get something like without knocking over the whole table and it being a whole thing. So I get what you're saying and I'm that way too. But I don't think it's just so much more of like being nosy, brain this and that. It's more just like I need that so I can capture the room and have that same experience, just like everyone
Like
else.
anyone else, yeah.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, yeah. Can we
All these things we talk about,
I
they
know.
seem so simple.
And common sense too.
Mhm.
Um, can we talk about disabled creators and, like, platforms like TikTok?
Yeah, I think that really today's, although sometimes a little much with all the crazy TikTokers, but I think people are starting to call people out and call places and venues out on these accommodations that are lacking and more ADA inclusive things. So I think it has helped in a way. Again, back to our some of our OG episodes of if you see something, say something. And I think
Mhm.
people are being loud and proud on things like TikTok, and that avenue has created change, um, which has can help us all. So I think that that's it can be a positive thing for sure.
Yeah, and I think that for those listening, like, if you see something, like Kelly said, say something, like, whether it's on social media, whether it's bringing it up with, the institution you're at or the building or the people that, were running an event you went to, like, just that kind of stuff, they might seem small. You raising your voice, has such a huge impact and a huge lasting impact too for those, who might come after you or that kind of stuff. So we really encourage everybody to speak up in that way, and say something when you see something. Um,
I think it's too, it's not just about the ranting. I think people
yeah,
get that, like, it's not about the ranting, I think it's more about having a
raising
resolution.
awareness.
What
Yeah,
can they do to fix the issue? I
for
think
sure.
that's where it sometimes it's lost. People just wanna go viral, about,
Yeah.
beef and this and that, but it's like, "This is what I need, and this is the resolution." I think that's the biggest takeaway from some of those stories.
Yeah, for sure. When you take up space, people will say, like, you're being really dramatic. Not everything is about disability. We're trying our best. That's like that tone. Like, there's this idea that, disability advocacy, rare disease advocacy has to be polite. And, we always have to be grateful. And we are for what we have. I mean, we know that we've come a long way, but we also know that we have such a long way to go as well. And so we, aren't always grateful, and so, but disability rights didn't happen because people asked nicely, activists like Judy Human pushed, organized, and demanded, in a bunch of different aspects of our society, and comfort has never created change. And so I think let's make this practical. If you're ever in, a tight situation, if you're kind of figuring out, do I belong in this room? Should I take up space here? There are some simple things that you can say, like, this space isn't accessible. I'd love to attend when it is, that joke doesn't sit right with me. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for access, just simple, clear, concise, done, and just, powerful. It gets down to the point. And you also don't have to fight every battle. Protect your peace, protect your energy. Kelly and I say that all the time.
Yes.
Save your breath. And sometimes taking up space looks like, logging off. If you're getting, a little bit tired of seeing all the things on social media and that kind of stuff, like, it's okay to log off, to block someone too. Oh my God. Or, choosing community over arguing and ranting, like Kelly said. You're allowed to, be loud and proud and, raise your voice, but you're also allowed to be quiet and take a rest. take a load off and, and quiet, all that noise.
Yeah, I think there's no quote unquote reasonable disabled behavior.
Mm,
I think that, you set what's appropriate and you set what that should be, what that looks like. It obviously depends on a very situational base, but I think there isn't really what is reasonable disabled behavior.
yeah. And I think, people adjust, or they don't. And, if they don't, then that tells me something,
Yeah, that's not right. That's not the right space for you then.
Yeah.
Maybe move on from that or try a new place or a new set of friends. Like I know that seems harsh and not easy and more easier said than done, but I think it really truly is finding your people in your area of where you vibe with, who get you and where you're accepted fully and that they want you to be there. They want you in that space and you're not
Yeah.
having to make all these things to make that happen.
Yeah. I think I am such an overthinker. Maybe we should even do an episode on this, Kelly. Overthinking.
Yes. My God, I'm
I'm
right there with
such
you.
I'm such an overthinker, and I think I used to cushion everything too. I would smile more. I would soften my tone a little bit. I would be all, nice, warm, and fuzzy. And I would like to think that I still am, nice, warm, and fuzzy. But I think I don't know if this is just me being from New York, but, like, I know that there are definitely points, when dealing with the systems that you and I have to navigate and challenging those systems, there's a time and place to be direct, and sometimes you have to. And so, although I, used to cushion everything, I, have learned that being direct isn't, a sign of, backing down at all or, being you don't have to, like, be too nice. Am I making sense? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, well, just speaking to your point about overthinking, I was overthinking before we hit record on this
Yeah.
episode, just FYI. I was like, okay, just hit it. Like, I'm overthinking this
Yes,
shit. So
that
yeah,
literally just
I'm
happened.
with you. Literally just happened. Yeah, I am right there with you. And yeah, I think it depends on my mood. Sometimes if I'm having a week or a day, like I'm gonna be super direct and just have at it, but there's sometimes where I'm like, oh, this person seems like they are willing to work with me on this. It really just depends on like, for me, I'm a big vibe person. So
Yeah,
like, if I feel like
same.
you are understanding me and my needs and you're willing to work with me, you're willing to make an adjustment, to make it work, whatever that is, then I think I'm a little more kinder to
Yeah.
that and sympathetic because I think we're all learning. Like, let's be honest. Nobody is perfect. We're all in this
Mhm.
world just trying to get by and survive and do all that we can. But I think there are those that are, wanting to grow and to, be more accepting of a world. And there are others where you just show up and it's clear that you are not welcome or they're closed off. They're not understanding your needs or you're not being heard. So in those times, yeah, I think a little more fierce, sassy
Mhm.
Kelly comes out during those times that I need to. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, for me, it's a mood, a vibe. It's situational
Yeah.
based on what that looks like when
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that.
Yeah. I'm a believer in giving people a chance. But if you're not willing to help me, like, then yeah, I am gonna be direct and I am gonna, be fierce and give it right back to you. I just I don't know, it's like not fathomable to me like why you wouldn't, help someone or, ensure that they have full access and full, you know, opportunity for to be included fully. Um and equally. I think that's really important too. Equally.
Yeah, I think again we always push the education topic. It's also to like how much of a teaching moment am I willing to either give this person or do, and it's hard to constantly be the educator or hey, this event didn't work. Here's what you need to do. But, all these things is hopefully for, the long run of a brighter, more inclusive future for everyone. And that takes all of us doing the hard work, doing the good work, man. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we just want to talk about what reclaiming too much actually means. So if you're being told, you're too loud, you're just being fully expressive. You're just saying those needs vocally, and that's okay. If you're too emotional, it's because you feel deeply and that your feelings are valid. Like everybody feels you're not too emotional. If you're told that you're too demanding, you're just being clear about your needs. Everybody's needs are different, and that's something you're vocalizing, and that's okay too. Too visible. You're just being unapologetically present, which is what we all need to do, and we all need to stop apologizing for it. So, I will leave you with this. If you're too much, maybe you've just been uncomfortable too little.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this inclusive space where disability radiates and every listen helps amplify disabled voices that deserve to be heard. We're so grateful you're on this journey with us.
We share real stories, honest conversations, and expert insights that challenge misconceptions. Because disability doesn't define us, it's just a different way of experiencing the world.
Your support keeps this beautifully disabled, slightly chaotic show rolling.
You are truly the real MVPs. We have power, real stories.